would you tell a senior engineer joining the project on the first day that they wouldn't be able to figure out by just reading the code? If they needed on day one to be productive, it belongs. If they could figure this out by reading a couple of files, it doesn't. If a linter or formatter enforces it deterministically, it definitely doesn't. Here are a few things that belongs. A one-sentence description of what the project actually does. Not something like, this is a Node.js application. Instead, try to do something like a B2B inventory management API serving 40,000 customers daily. This tells the agent a lot of things implicitly, like we are already serving customers. We need to be able to make sure that our systems are migratable such that we can bring the users along. And all of that just from a single sentence, which is why this sentence makes sense. Contrast that to the Node.js application sentence, which actually doesn't tell it anything except for what it could have figured out by just doing an ls in the working directory. The package manager. If you're not using the default package manager, you should put that in there. So if you're using pnpm or yarn or bun or something like that, put it in there such that the agent knows and you don't have to tell it all the time. Use pnpm instead of npm. The same if you're using Bazel instead of cargo or any other non-standard thing for your code base. The exact commands to build and test your system. Make it short but concrete. Like for instance, pnpm run test : integration. This will make sure that your agent knows exactly how to do an integration test. Other things that I would put in there is links to files with architectural decisions, and in some case move those decisions directly to the agents at MD in case that the agent turns back to the same thing. So for instance, I would put we choose Drizzle over Prisma because reason. Sometimes you'll get to a state where the agent keeps on trying to put things into your code base that doesn't belong there. Like for instance, in my projects, I prefer to do everything in Rust. And so I would tell the agent, only use Rust for the website, never ever import JavaScript. And this is particularly important with some libraries, like for instance, when I'm rendering mermaid diagrams, because this is a non-trivial thing to do with Rust libraries. And so the agent needs to know that it has to take a harder path than just importing a JavaScript library. Other things you might want to put in there are things like security gotchas. So for instance, many projects you don't want to log user information, and this is super important then to make sure that the agent knows that we should never output things that can identify the user into the logs. Other things you might want to put in there is PR conventions. So for instance, squash merge only. Keep it short, keep it simple. The agent will understand this. Finally, domain vocabulary. If your code base uses terms that aren't obvious from the outside, define them in a couple of lines.